Hey everyone, Matt with Vilayer again. In this video, I'm going to show you how to import a DayZ.St database into our system. It's actually a really easy process. DayZ.St uses the same Hive base that we do. There are some slight variances, but they don't cause any issues with the import. For the most part, you can actually just export and import. It's really straightforward. To start off with, we're going to be using HideSQL to do this. I recommend using it. It's a free tool. If you want to use a different tool, you can. The process may be slightly different. This video focuses on the way to do it with HideSQL. If you don't have HideSQL or don't know how to use it, check out our HideSQL video. That will explain where to get it and how to use it. Alright, the first thing we're going to need to do is connect to the DayZ.St database. So we'll go ahead and open that up. And now that we're connected, you can see all the different tables from DayZ.St. Now we need to go ahead and export it. So what you'll do is up here, where the database name is, you're going to right click it and go to Export Databases Sql. Then you'll get this export window. By default, it'll actually look just like that. None of these options will be selected. For our purposes, what we need to do is next to Databases and Tables, select both Drop and Create. And then under Data, select Delete plus Insert. Once you do that, you go ahead and make the database name right here. Name it whatever you want. For this example, we're just calling it DayZ export or ST export. Once you have everything set, go ahead and click the export button. Depending on the size of the database and how much is in it, the export could take anywhere from 10 seconds to a couple minutes. This one is mid to a low size database for this example, so we'll just give it a minute to go through here. Down here in the bottom, you can see it shows you the percentage of your current progress. And that's about to finish up. And there we go. The export has completed. Now that's going to give us an SQL file. If you have HideSQL installed, the default program to open it will be HideSQL. However, for this example, we're going to be using Notepad++ to open it first, because we need to make some modifications. One of the major ones is if you want your bases and tents and everything to be there on our system just like they were previously, you need to actually change the instance IDs for those objects. To show you what I'm talking about, we'll open this instance vehicle table. And you'll see there's an instance ID column. The old instance ID for this DayZ.St server was 1029. It will not be the same for us, so we'll need to change that. And it's a little too difficult to go down through here and change each individual cell at a time, considering, just in this table alone we have 97 entries. Then you'd have to go ahead and go over to the instance deployables and do it there as well, and there's 116 there. You'll have to do it in the building table. It's just too much stuff you have to do. So to make this a heck of a lot easier, we're going to use Notepad++. You can get Notepad++ from notepadplus.com. You go to their website and they'll have a big green download button right there. So I'm not going to teach you how to install it. It's just like any other Windows program. And once you have it installed, you can go ahead and pull up your export that you created, right click it, and select Edit with Notepad++. And that's going to bring up our exported database. So there's a few changes we're going to have to make here. The first one, right near the top, you're going to see drop database if exists, create database if not exist, and use database. So we're going to need to change that. With our MySQL server, the default database name is DayZ. It's different for DayZ.St, so we're going to modify this. Right here, where the old database name is, we're just going to go ahead and change that to DayZ. Do the same for down here. And that's the first thing you have to do. Basically, what that's going to do is when you import this, if the DayZ database exists, it'll delete it, it'll recreate it, and it'll use that database for the import. The reason why we do that, instead of just importing over the current database, you'll have some entries that are already there, so you get duplicate key errors. You have certain keys that are required. Basically, you'll have one table that depends on another table, so you can't edit one because it's linked to the other one. Doing it this way ensures it'll be a nice smooth import. So next we have to go ahead and modify the instance ID. So if we scroll down, we're going to look for one of the tables with the instance ID in it. In this case, we're looking at instance deployables. And if you look in the data here, this is each individual table row, you're going to see the instance ID right there. You can actually look here right above as well if you're not sure which one's your instance ID. You can cross-reference these. So the first one's ID, second is unique ID, third is deployable ID, fourth is owner ID, and the fifth is the instance ID. So from here what I'll do is copy it right from the first comma to the last single quote. You can hit Control F and select the Replace tab. Now we need to get our new instance ID with your Vilayer server. So you'll log into the control panel and look in your URL. Right here at the top it says service ID equals. That service ID is going to be your instance ID. So in this server it's 8721. So we'll go ahead and down here we'll copy this first cell, paste it right there, and change the 1029 to 8721. I think that's what it was. Let's double check. Yep, 8721. Perfect. All right. From there, you can just hit Replace All. Pay attention to right here behind on the screen where it has all the 1029s. Replace all. Bam. Now there are new instance ID. Now with DayZ.St databases, there's a few different places you're going to have to change it. That's just the first one. The next thing we need to do is find the instance table. It'll take just a moment here to track it down. Oh, and actually, while we're at it, here on the log entry table, we need to go ahead and edit the instance ID there. This one's a little bit different, so you can't use the same find and replace. So what I will do is copy from the comma over to the parenthesis. And we'll do a Control F on it. Click the Replace tab just like before. Copy. And put in our new instance ID, which I managed to forget already. Let's double check it. 8721. Perfect. Okay. So we'll go ahead and paste in 8721. And again, replace all. That time it replaced 5,469 entries. Next, we're going to keep on scrolling down. And let's see. Just kind of browsing through the tables here to make sure we're not coming across anything that needs to have its instance ID updated. And that should be most of it. The last one we're looking for is the instance table. And a little trick if you want to find it a bit quicker is right here where it says, you can do this on any of these tables. You can, where it says drop table if exists, just copy that, do a Control F, and change the table name to, and search. There we go. All right. So right here is the actual instance in the instance table. So we're going to change that to our new instance, which again is 8721. And we'll just give this a quick skim to make sure we have everything. You can see down here, now that we've hit instance deployable, that's all just like it should be with the correct instance ID. And that's going to cover it. We are now ready to import the database. So the next step is to go ahead and connect to our Vilayer database. And to do that, we need to make sure the server's running in the control panel. So you'll log into the control panel, click Start, and when the server starts, it's also going to start your MySQL server. So we'll give that a moment to fire up. And while that's doing its thing, we'll go ahead and get another instance of Heidi pulled up. And we're going to connect to our Vilayer server now. So right here, you're going to put in your IP. It's going to be, let's see here. So we'll go put in the IP of our server. And for the user, with our database, you want to connect with the root user and whatever password you set up when you installed MySQL. And the port will always be +1 your game port. So if you see this server is 2322 for the game port, MySQL will be 2323. So we'll put that in for the port. And we'll go ahead and connect. And one note about the root user, this is actually a huge advantage with our databases versus a DayZ.St database. Just to show you this, DayZ.St locks down the user permissions. You can't create new users very easily, if at all. The user that you have has jailed permissions. So if we go over to the ST database and click on Tools and try to change user permissions, You can't. You're blocked. They do not allow you to do that. It's quite limiting. If you want to be able to create new users or make modifications to user permissions, it makes it very difficult to do so. Now, if we jump back to the Vilayer database, we give you full root access. You can do whatever you want with your database. The MySQL server is yours and yours alone. We can go to User Manager and edit all the user permissions. We can do anything we want to do with it. Now that we got that out of the way, we are logged into the Vilayer database. So skip back over to your Notepad++, do a Control-A and copy all of that data. Then we go back to Heidi for the Vilayer database, click on the DayZ table, or excuse me, the DayZ database, and in this tab that says Query, paste in all the data from Notepad++. Once it's in there, there's a blue play button up top. Go ahead and click it. That will execute this SQL query. And again, it depends on the size of the database. It can take a good amount of time to import, or it may not if it's a smaller database. So right now, that's running through and importing. And there we go. That's all there is to it. That went ahead and imported the whole DayZ.St database into our system. And just to show that to you, I haven't refreshed Heidi yet, so it still has the original table structure. And we put those two databases side by side. You can see the difference in table structure on the left and the right. Left is DayZ.St, right is us. So now if we go ahead and refresh F5, the table structure has been updated. It now includes some tables here that came from the DayZ.St database. There are some here that aren't any use in our system, so you can just get rid of them if you want. As an example, the admin user and admin levels. That's specific to their control panel and their system, so it doesn't do you any good over here. That's up to you. If you want to leave them, leave them. If you want to delete them, delete them. As you can see, the process is really straightforward. It's very easy to do. If you need any assistance with it or have any questions, don't hesitate to let us know. We're always happy to help out with database imports. If you have any questions or comments about the video, go ahead and leave them down below. Feel free to submit a ticket on Vilayer.com or jump into ts3.vilayer.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Again, my name's Matt with Vilayer. Thank you for watching.